So, when I was going to be a mother for the first time, I was actually the 10th lady in line at church that was pregnant. So I knew I was going to have my baby, but those 9 other friends of mine were going to have their babies first, if everybody, went on time. So during that wave of pregnant moms at my church, we were all exposed to and learning about and really into Baby Wise. And I think the Christian version of it is Along the Infant Way. And so I read that. Just a second, baby. And so I read that. I listened to the CDs. I talked to friends that were doing it, that went to my church and that didn't go to my church. And I have, I'm going to share with you guys the things that I liked about it, the things that I didn't like about it, and what I think about it today in hindsight. So the things that I liked about it back then when I first heard about it was how logical it all sounded. It really made sense to me that you want to help your new baby develop healthy sleep patterns and eating patterns, and you want to feed them a full meal so that they'll be full, so they won't wake up in 5 minutes hungry again, so they'll sleep longer, right, in between feedings. It made sense to me to have a schedule and a routine, because I am all about structure and routine and schedule and to-do lists and check off items and getting things accomplished. I'm very productive and task oriented, so this just fits so neatly into my personality. And what really appealed to me was that I would sleep all night sooner than most moms with newborns sleep, right? So all of that sounded good to me. I really wanted to do this because of these things. So I started to read the book. I started to listen to the CD that came with the book. It was like her and her husband talking, sharing stories, stuff like that. There was a few things that I disobeyed in the book because I did not like. I thought that it was absurd when I read the line, "You hold your baby enough when you're nursing them. Don't rock them to sleep and don't hold them when they're sleeping." I was like, whoa. As much as I wanted to do Baby Wise and as much as I wanted to do scheduled feeding, that immediately was like this red flag of, this is not natural. Don't hold your baby when they're sleeping and don't rock them to sleep because you hold them enough when you're nursing. I thought that was a little odd. So I was like, I don't know how hardcore I'm going to follow this. So that was one thing I didn't like. And I thought, I don't care what they say. I'm nursing my baby to sleep because it is wonderful. And I'm holding my baby whenever I want and however long I want to because it is wonderful. And that first year goes by so fast. The day you get your baby to the day that he turns 1, he's a different person. Like, no year contains more change than that first year. So that little baby changes so much. I wanted to enjoy and soak it up, So I didn't like that. I totally nursed my baby to sleep. Every nap, every night. I rocked him. I held him. I loved those times. But even though I did it, I didn't do it right away, and I didn't feel at peace about it because I knew it was against the rules. It was against the guidelines that I was trying so hard to follow. And so there was always this second guessing in my head is, if I'm doing this, am I messing up this? So that's not natural. For a mom to be questioning every single little move she makes is not natural. This is your baby. Feed him when he's hungry. Hold him. What in the world? So I didn't like that. I also did not like the stress that came with it. All of a sudden, my life was run by the clock. All of a sudden, the baby had to nap. The baby had to eat. The baby could not fall asleep in your arms. I know you traveled 20 hours to come visit him, but don't let him fall asleep in your arms. My mother-in-law holding my baby, traveling to come visit us, meeting her grandchild for the first time, he's asleep on her. Instead of enjoying this moment and soaking up how sweet and wonderful this memory is, in my head, I'm like, because he's asleep and he's supposed to be awake, according to this book, So that is unnatural and really, really sad that I'm glad that I didn't say anything, because that's one of her favorite memories of coming to meet her grandchild, was him falling asleep on her chest and her laying on the bed. But if it wasn't for this book, it would probably be a wonderful memory of mine as well. But instead I was all anxious and freaking out about it, which is unnatural. I didn't like, that's mainly the big stuff. I feel like I missed out on some things, like that memory. I missed out on taking my babies to my sister-in-law's weddings because I was so concerned about their napping and eating that I didn't just bring the baby with me and enjoy the family time and the family moment. I left him with my mom with strict instructions, and she followed every single one of them, and I'm sure was thinking, what on earth, you know, because in their generation they just fed the baby when it was hungry and held the baby because it was precious, you know. But in our generation we have these crazy things that are given to us and we want to follow them perfectly. So that's mainly the stuff I liked and didn't like about Baby Wise. Hindsight, I actually have several friends that did Baby Wise, and I noticed that we all started to lose our milk supply around the same time, around 6 or 7 months. Between 4 and 7 months, we started to drop in our milk supply. And then we were crazy stressed about the Baby Wise structure and schedule. Now we were crazy about pumping fenugreek, mama's milk tea, you know, trying to get our milk supply back up. Well, there was no demand, right? When you are stretching out your feedings so far apart, where naturally a baby is feeding through the night, and all of a sudden you're like stretching the hours and hours and hours, the supply is going to decrease because the demand has disappeared. So it makes total sense that once my babies were sleeping through the night, my milk started to go down. So what happened with my firstborn, hey, can you hear it, Ivan? No. You can raise it a little. That's too low. What happened with my firstborn was, hold on, it's not time to eat yet. We have to wait 2 hours in between feedings, okay? You can't eat even if you're starving. I'm sorry. Sorry. They're 8 and 6 now. They can hold on. But that was just a little annoying joke. Sorry. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, milk. So Ivan, my firstborn, I wanted to nurse him for a year at least, but I got pregnant at 9 months. So my body was like crazy, growing a baby, feeding a baby, and chasing a baby, and it was like crazy. So I still nursed, but my milk went down, and he was waking up at night. I didn't know my milk went down. I was just getting up again, feeding in the middle of the night around 7 months through around 11 months, because at 11 months I started to supplement a little with rice milk, and he started sleeping through the night again. And that's when I realized he started waking up again 5 months ago because my milk dropped, and I didn't realize it. Well, he was sleeping through the night by 8 weeks. My firstborn was a Baby Wise baby, book baby. I mean, he was like scheduled, sleeping awesome, napping awesome, slept through the night at 8 weeks. Awesome. Self-soother. I would put him to bed. He'd be like, and I'd leave the room and he'd fall asleep, no crying. He was like, Baby Wise works, everybody. Look, I can show you. But I disobeyed some of the rules, and I'm glad I did, because I feel like I would have missed out on a lot of wonderful, precious, glorious memories that I have. My second-born child was an attempt at Baby Wise, but no, he was not having it. He was born at the morning, like at 8:30 in the morning, and he slept all day, and then at night he just looked at me all night, just looked at me. And as soon as I'd put him in the crib, he'd start screaming, and he wouldn't stop screaming until I came back to get him. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let a 1-day-old cry it out, right? I don't know if Baby Wise would tell you to do that, but I was not ready to do that. I don't think they would, by the way. But he also sweat like a beast when he would cry, and it was October. So I was like, I am not letting this baby cry it out, make a puddle of sweat in his crib in the middle of winter. There was no way. So I never let him cry it out, and I never denied him nursing. So I would be up all night. My second-born persistent child, and I nursed him like every hour, round the clock, because that's what he wanted. And I did it because I didn't want to follow the rule book. So was he a good napper? No. Was he a good sleeper? No. He didn't sleep through the night till he was 3.5 years old, and I added Juice Plus into my life. As soon as I put him on Juice Plus, within 2 weeks, he slept through the night for the first time in his life, and he has never had bad sleeping again. But he was never a good napper even after that. So, well, we were not napping anymore at that time. Never mind, because he was a bad napper. My older son napped till he was like 5. So Do I think it was Baby Wise? Why the first one was so great and the second one was so bad? No, I think it was the baby and Baby Wise. The first baby just naturally flowed well with the Baby Wise structure, even with my disobeying some of the guidelines. And my second born was just not having it. He was not having it. And I didn't want to not nurse him because I firmly believe that scripture shows us over and over again that there is nothing more comforting to a baby than their mama, and they need us. And for us to deny them that is just cruel and unnatural. When a baby cries, every woman's heart rate goes up. But when it's your baby, it's like 10 times higher because it's your baby. It's natural. You want to run to your child and comfort him and help him to stop crying. How do you feel when your baby's crying? All you want to do is help him stop. That's all you want to do. How unnatural is it to be like, just figure it out, self-soothe? No, the Lord gave us them, their mamas, to soothe them. And I wanted to share some passages with you. The first one's Isaiah 40:11. He will tend his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arms. He will carry them in his bosom and gently lead those that are with young. Of course, this is not referring specifically to a mother and a baby, but it's implying comfort. Carry him on his bosom, right? And then Isaiah 49:15 says, can a woman forget her nursing child? I hope not, because that's unnatural, right? That she should have no compassion on the son of her womb. Can a woman forget her nursing child? No, it's instinctively in us to run to our babies and nurse them and comfort them, right? Not to, when we're trying to do otherwise, it is misery. Misery. In fact, it's comforting for us to comfort them because we find when we put that baby on our breast and soothe them and comfort them, we feel soothed and comforted because we know that we have comforted them. But to leave them there and say, self-soothe, figure it out, this is what's best for you, trust me, not only is that not normal in any country in the entire world except the ones that are reading Baby Wise, but it, like in us, we can't deal with it, and neither can they. Everything within us is calling for each other, and we're denying that to ourselves and to the baby. That's unnatural. Isaiah 66:10-13 says, rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad for her, all you who love her. Rejoice with her in joy, all you who mourn over her, that you may nurse and be satisfied from her consoling breast, that you may drink deeply with delight from her glorious abundance. Nursing is satisfying. Our breast is consoling to a baby. Let them drink deeply and delight in the glorious abundance. I know this is not talking about babies and mothers, but it's using that symbolism because it applies so well, because it is the same message. And then one more, 1 Thessalonians 2:7. Says, but we are gentle among you, like a nursing mother taking care of her own child. It's natural for us to take care of our own child. It is natural for us to want to comfort our child. And I feel like even though logically this book makes a lot of sense, and it probably relieves mom from a lot of lack of sleep and from a lot of giving of herself, but man, it's against what's natural, and that is to nurture and to console and to comfort our child. And the Lord has given us the most perfect and wonderful way to do that. And I know that there are many moms that for various reasons are unable to nurse. That doesn't exclude you. Holding your child is right. Hold your baby, enjoy them, soak up this time. It's a wonderful time that's gone before you know it. Hindsight, I regret not much because I'm thankful that I caught those red flags in the beginning and I didn't overdo the crying out and the self-soothe and the not hold and the not nurse. And I didn't, oh my, Oh, I was warming up some rice and I burned it. Yay. Um, I didn't overdo the cry it out stuff. You know, new moms, you'll get to know your baby, but like when you get to know your baby, you know when they're exhausted and they're fighting sleep, you know. And so, yeah, you can either hold them while they're screaming in your ear, or rock them in the car seat when they're screaming bloody murder, or put them in their little swing thing while they're screaming, or hold them doing the crazy baby dance while they're screaming. You know that they're fighting sleep, and it's only a matter of time before they stop screaming and just fall asleep. You know that. There's a difference between that and looking at your wide awake child and putting him in the crib and saying, bye, it's nap time, and then letting him scream for an hour, you know? And I know that not everybody does that, but some people do, you know, some people do. And I just think that's unnatural. So thankfully I broke some of the rules, so I don't have that many regrets, but I do hate the stress that I had and the hold and the grip that the clock had on me and the anxiety that people holding my children brought, because all I was thinking was, don't let him fall asleep. But what do you do when you hold a baby? You always do the rock. You always do the baby rock. There is no such thing as holding a baby standing completely still like a statue. No matter who you are, you get a baby in your arms and you start doing the little rock, right? And that's gonna soothe the baby and put him to sleep. So there's so many times that friends held my babies and they fell asleep, and I was just stressed out the whole time. Horrible. That I regret. There was a time at my church, because there's always waves of pregnant women, after my wave, that all of us who had done Baby Wise all got together and said, look, you guys, nobody knows about Baby Wise anymore. It's not like the thing at church anymore. Isn't it awesome? Look how relaxed the moms are. Ah! We were so happy for them. Well, why am I making this video? Because I've recently discovered that it's starting to poke its head through again. I've heard a lot of Baby Wise talk at my church with some of the new pregnant moms, and I'm like, no, don't come back, please. Please don't come back. Thankfully, there's so many women to talk to, and a lot of us feel the way we do now, the way I do now, that did Baby Wise. But there are still some people that are firm believers. They loved it, and they, you know, they're hardcore about it. I just can't help but feel like there's a little bit of selfishness involved in Baby Wise, because it's more for the mom than for the baby. Your baby's gonna sleep one day. That's just the truth. They're gonna sleep one day. You're not gonna be waking up with your baby the rest of your life, you know? And so it's not, you can't find a formula that's guaranteed to work. You just can't. And so just follow the natural pattern and design of motherhood. And that is pouring yourself into another human being and being completely selfless and dying to yourself, sacrificing every single day for your children. That is motherhood. And I recently heard someone say, I can't live like that. And I was just like, I was gonna like laugh and say like, why'd you have a child? What do you mean you can't live like that? Like, what? You had a baby. You're gonna be tired. It's just part of it, you know? And it makes you think and ponder and appreciate and be grateful and be humbled and be sanctified. And the Lord gives you strength you didn't know you had. And there's a lot of good that comes from it. So you can live like that, because God gave you a child, and then he tells you how to mother that child. And if he says you can do it, you can. It's just hard to die to ourselves. I know. But having children is very sanctifying, because it kind of gives us a deeper look into how selfish we are. So that's all I have to say about Baby Wise. I'm not like so against it. I'm against what it creates in the person. That stress and that anxiety and that formula and that consuming thing. But yeah, I guess I am not really for it, because even the logical stuff that I thought, if you can do the logical part super laid back, then more power to you. I couldn't. So that's all I have to say.